No country has ever prospered that failed to put its own interests first. We will no longer surrender this country or its people to the false song of globalism.
New Right Network presents Right Now, the featured podcast of New Right Network. Mobilizing, countering the left, energizing the right. New Right Network, home of the New Right movement.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Right Now podcast on the New Right Network. I'm your host, Reagan Castillo-Fontana. And today with us, I have Miss Angela Roman, who's a conservative Republican from Oregon. She's a self-employed small business owner, and she's also running as a congressional candidate of Oregon's 5th District. Hey Angela, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Hi Reagan, thank you so much for having me.
All right, well, let's just jump right in. Let's start with what brought you here. Like, how did you get where you are today in politics?
So, like you said, I am Angela. I'm from Oregon. I'm not a politician. I'm just a regular person. I was given the opportunity to work as a policy analyst in the state capitol here in the House of Representatives on the conservative side. And you know, I never had any intentions of being in politics or gaining any kind of, career in this area. But after working in the legislature and seeing the shenanigans that happen and the results of what our society is really like because of the people who are in power, and it's just not in me to walk away from that. I've tried. As we all know, politics is low down and dirty and very, very defeating sometimes, but I'm a tough lady. I'm up for the challenge, and I see a lot of wrongs that need to be righted, and it just keeps me going. So I've decided to step up and actually be a voice for Oregon. You know, I was born here, raised here. These are my people, and our voices aren't being heard. So I'm willing to do it.
Awesome. So you, on your website, you talk about a few of the priorities you have as far as the Second Amendment, immigration, and then I want to say abortion and term limits. Could you touch on each one of those and just kind of give us an idea of where your stance is?
Yeah, so definitely Second Amendment is very, very important to me. You know, without that, we don't have any freedoms. You know, this is a great country. We have the capability still to be able to protect our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And, you know, shall not be infringed means just that. And I truly believe, as a mother of 3 kids, you know, I have 3 boys, that policy to ban guns in the school zones was one of the worst pieces of legislation in United States history, and it's leaving our children as sitting targets. So that's one of my main goals when I get there. That needs to go. It needs to be reversed. We have the law of the land, our beautiful Constitution, which guarantees our freedoms. And, you know, I fear for my children every day they walk out that door to school. And, you know, people will tell you, well, homeschool them. Not everybody has that option. And the elitists and those that are in control, especially here in Oregon, know that. So I plan to go and be a voice for the Second Amendment. Abortion, we here in Oregon were the first people to pass the abortion all the way up to the date of birth for any reason. Doesn't even have to be a medical reason. And it's paid for by our tax dollars for people, whether they are a legal citizen or not. You know, unless there's a threat of loss of life of the mother, there's no reason for that. That's not abortion, that's murder. If you can walk into a clinic at 8 months pregnant for any reason and just, you know, say you get cold feet and walk in and be like, you know what, I don't want to do this, and have that baby murdered, I don't even say abortion. We'll call it what it is. People don't like to hear the truth. It is what it is. Plug your ears if you don't like to hear it, but it's murder. And, you know, I was there when they passed that legislation, and I watched senators, representatives cry, go in the bathroom, throw up. And I'm sitting here going, what do we do? What do we do? And I get the same answer from politicians. well, we'll just bring it up at the next election. No, that's not good enough for me. Term limits, like I said, I'm not a politician. I had no aspirations to do any of this at all. I don't even really want to do it, but I'm being guided by God. I've led, a colorful life. I feel that all my experiences have led me to this point to go and be someone that can be relatable to everybody and bring people to the table. It's chaos, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there forever, like my current opponent who's been there 10 plus years, who sits on the fence just so he can stay in Congress. And he's not doing anything for anybody. So definitely term limits, if I had it my way, Congress would be nothing but pure American-loving patriots and veterans. We don't need doctors. We don't need lawyers. We don't need people that are just, being pulled by puppet strings. We need people to get in there and be we the people for the people. And immigration. We have a real threat to our national security. And, it's not just the southern border. It's Canada as well. We're being attacked from everywhere. And people are coming here to be safe and have the ability to pursue their freedom, their life, their liberties. And in order to maintain that, we have to regulate the border. We can't just have anybody and everybody coming in. I don't let anybody just walk into my house. So, I've been accused of being a racist for my views, which is just absolutely ridiculous. My children are half Mexican. I speak 3 languages, and I've spoken with people from the southern border. I lived in Arizona for a little while, and there's a lot of people coming up from Mexico, for instance, that understand, they're escaping persecution and things like that. They want that border locked down too. They want to live free. They want to be able to watch their children grow and prosper, and, letting illegals in and giving them all of our freedoms while stripping ours is just chaos. And it's not okay. And it's going to lead us to be in another third world country. And I'm willing to step up and do everything I can to make sure she remains free.
Awesome. So let's talk about Oregon for a minute. Now, are the primary political stances in Oregon as liberal as the rest of the country thinks they are? Because that's kind of what we see. We see Portland, we see Antifa, we see what is the constituency like?
So we are definitely a hodgepodge here. My district covers 7 counties and 77 cities, all the way from the mountains to the coast to Portland to rural Oregon to the inner city. And, that's why I feel I am the candidate, because I don't have that hard line where I'm going to be like, I'm not going to talk to you. It's my way or the highway kind of thing. Whereas I see that with my current primary opponents. I'm the one that's not scared to go into the inner cities and knock on the doors. And, if they want to tell me to kick rocks, then, I'll thank them and say, okay, I tried. We have to try. And I believe in educating. So, I could go to the mountains and sit down, drink a beer with the loggers and talk, Like I said, I could go into the inner cities. I can go to the coast and sip wine with, the liberal ladies. I was raised by my grandparents. I'm an old soul. So, I could just relate to anybody. And I've really, really been able to make an impact with having discussions on the campaign trail and just speaking with people. I actually prefer to speak to people that don't have my views, because I consider it, a victory when I get someone to see my side. And we're not going to be able to do that unless we have, the cojones basically to have those conversations. And, I was co-organizer for the March for Trump after he got inaugurated. That happened here in Lake Oswego when all these Antifa critters came out. So I've been on the front lines, and I've even since then gone back up, and stood with Patriot Prayer, Proud Boys. I'm a 3%er. I'm not ashamed to say it. People tell me, shh, you're running for office. Don't say that. Are you kidding? I'm proud. I'm a proud patriot. I'm proud of my country. We're all different. There's men, there's women, there's different races. We don't all agree, but we all stand together, and we believe that everybody should be able to peacefully assemble on these United States. And I'm not scared to face any opponent, whether it's on the front lines up there in Portland with Antifa or in the Capitol.
All right. Speaking of the Capitol, some of the things you talk about is, how did we get here? How did we get in such debt, lose our values and respect for fellow neighbors? How did we get here? And what's your plan to take on Washington and the corruption?
So here locally, I can speak on that. It's the Democratic majority. We got to call it what it is, and I hate to categorize people, but you can tell who's who and how they feel. And, I saw the tactics when I worked in the legislature, in the House particularly. They were going to pass health care for all on our tax money, meaning for children, all children, which, I love babies. That's, I don't want that to be misconstrued, but I shouldn't have to pay for an illegal's kids that's not even supposed to be here when I'm trying to just maintain and take care of my own children's health and welfare. And, I watched the Democrats literally print out a one-pager and put a page on every single member of the conservative side of the House's desk before that floor session, basically bullying and threatening them that if they voted against it, that they were going to write all kinds of op-eds about how they were racist. They were going to make sure it went down in their voter guides. I mean, It's absolute nonsense. And unfortunately, I was just part of the legislative staff, and I wasn't able to be the person that was a voice to stand up and say, no, this is not going to cut it. Stop this shenanigans. Let's figure it out. But I'll be darned if anybody's going to threaten and put some kind of rubbish like that on my desk. I will speak up. I will stand out, and I will let the people know.
Awesome. So obviously we're in a super divisive political environment these days. What would be your message as far as getting legislation passed and working with those across the aisle?
Basically, we have to come together. We have to. We all bleed red. We all basically want the same thing. If we sit down and actually had the conversations, like I said, I've been up there on the front lines with Antifa screaming in my face, and they're like, they don't like the police. They don't like people in their business and this and that. And don't get me, I love law enforcement, the ones that hold their constitutional oath, not the ones that abuse the badge. And I understand where a lot of the anger comes from people saying, they want to categorize people, but we have to have those discussions. Not all cops are bad. Not all patriots are bad. Not all Democrats are bad. There's old school Democrats. So if we could come together and have those conversations and figure it out, I think we all agree at the end of the day, the government has gotten way too big and they are infringing on all of us. And if we came together, we could actually truly make this we the people for the people.
Absolutely. And I, like you mentioned earlier, that you had helped with Trump, and you're a huge Trump supporter,
Big
right?
time.
And have you always been a Trump supporter, or was it something specific that he did? Just what was like the moment that you thought, you know what, I'm going to support that guy. I'm behind him.
My son at the time, he was a freshman, and he came home from school and he's like, hey mom, what do you think about, I heard Trump is going to run for president. And here I am, I'm looking at him, and I was like, are you kidding me? He's a racist. That's what I thought. That's what I was conditioned to think. And, I looked at my son, I'm like, you're half Mexican. What's the matter with you? Like, I was ready to smack him upside the back of the head. No. So I know I didn't want Hillary, but he was like, well, let's sit down and watch the first debate together. And I was like, all right, fine. Within the first 5 minutes, I knew he was real. What he was speaking was the truth. You know, I'm a proud walk away. This is why I'm very relatable to people. And when he was saying, you know, MS-13 are animals, he's right. He's not lying. And correlating that with what was actually being played on the media, I was just like, wow, these people are really trying to pull the wool all over people's eyes. So I actually shut my cable off during the election. And that's when I started to get more involved. And, you know, I go hard, I learned quick. And next thing I knew, a couple months later, I was offered a job to work in the state capitol. And I'm just a bartender. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. I'm self-taught 3 languages. I learned quick and I truly want to make a difference. So I will get in there and I will figure out everything. You know, that's part of what I did as a policy analyst, is looking for all the loopholes that the Democrats love to use as a crutch and calling it out. Well, getting it to the representative for them to call it out. So we definitely need that. We need people that are going to get in there and with a microscope and look at the legislation and look at the budgets and the way that the money is being spent and what the real intent is behind it. You know, follow the money. It's not a lie.
Not a lot. Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Where can the viewers go to get more information on you?
So you can donate. You know, I really don't like asking for money. People tell me that I shouldn't say that and that it's all about money. I think that's hogwash. You know, I could put $10 in my tank and drive around the neighborhood and knock on doors and make more of an impact than a $50 field sign somewhere. Personally, I feel. But campaigns do cost money, and I need to be able to get out there and reach all the voters. So if you go to AngelaRomanForCongress.com, you can see my platform. It has the donate button. You'll find where my endorsements are. I just recently got endorsed by the president of Bikers for Trump, Boots on the Ground 45, as well as we have the Good Guys with Guns Oregon here. I've got a lot of people supporting me. So I always recommend the website just to kind of check it out and see what I'm about. And if you like what you see, then I encourage people to follow me on Facebook because, you know, I'm a comic, I'm funny, I'm not a politician, I'm just a regular person. I love to share memes that are funny, you know, the yelling cat and all that, you know. I go live. Yeah. If you send me a message, I will get back to you. And it's me, not my campaign manager. I make that very clear. I want to stay engaged with the people because we don't have that currently. You know, I've called in twice for a town hall for Kurt Schrader, and I've been the first one in the queue. And they always bypass me because they screen the calls. They screen the calls to the questions that he wants to answer for the people that he feels he only needs to represent. So he's already proven he's scared to have those conversations. I'm not. If you don't like something I've done and you leave me a message saying, hey, I want to yell at you, I'm going to call you back and let you scream at me for an hour. But then we're going to figure out the solution. So definitely follow me on Facebook, Twitter as well. That's where I met you and reached out. You know, Donald Trump was very smart when he uses Twitter, and I get it now, and I'm starting to learn. So pay attention to that. It's fun. And yeah, that's about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, on Facebook, it's the same thing. Angela Roman for Congress. Twitter is at Roman for Oregon.
Perfect. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the voters of Oregon's 5th District and the rest of the United States about your candidacy?
So for the constituents here in Oregon, I know that I'm running for Oregon's 5th Congressional District, but like I said, you know, I am a proud walk away and I love everybody. I'm fighting for everybody. I'm even fighting for the rights of those little Antifa guys that want to scream in my face. You know, as long as they're not inflicting violence, I don't care what they believe or how they feel. Just don't push it on my kids and don't inflict your violence on me. I will go to DC and I will be your voice. I won't take no for an answer, and we will find the solutions. For the United States and for my constituents and everybody in Oregon, I'm not going to DC because I have people in my pocket. I don't come from money. I have no particular agenda. I don't have any current policies that I want to push. People will say, well, what legislation are you going to go for? My intent is to go there and take back about 30 years of infringements on our Constitution.
That's awesome, Angela. Thank you so much for your time. We're so glad to hear and to have somebody like you running for a position like that. Just a regular person that just has a lot of passion. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been the Right Now podcast on the New Right Network. I'm your host, Reagan Castillo-Fontana, and I had today with us Miss Angela Roman, running for Oregon's 5th Congressional District.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. God bless you all, and have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
You've been listening to New Right Network, mobilizing, countering, energizing. Online at newrightnetwork.com.